Let's look more closely at these critical areas of impact, each with its own layers and dimensions. In ministry design, intentional pursuit of capacity, scalability, sustainability, and outcomes across these areas is essential. You might picture this as 12 boxes, 4 dimensions for each of the 3 areas of focus. For instance, in the organization, capacity refers to having the right people, resources, and support structures in place. Scalability is about how well the organization can grow to meet increasing demand or broaden its impact. Sustainability concerns the organization's ability to maintain its work over time, financially and operationally. And outcomes represent the measurable results the organization achieves, both internally and externally. Similarly, in missional community, capacity might look like the strength of relationships and the engagement of volunteers, partners, and members. Scalability here could refer to the community's reach and influence, how well it's expanding and engaging more people. Sustainability involves maintaining healthy, enduring relationships and partnerships, while outcomes refer to the tangible impact on the lives of those within the community. For programs and strategies, these same dimensions apply. The capacity of a program refers to its resources, staffing, and effectiveness in delivering services. Scalability is the program's potential to expand and reach more people. Sustainability involves the program's long-term viability, including funding, relevance, and adaptability. And outcomes are the real, measurable changes brought about by the program, whether in transformed lives, increased knowledge, or community development. Each of these dimensions requires attention, and they often exist in tension with each other. For example, improving the capacity of an organization might require hiring more staff, which could reduce financial sustainability in the short term. Likewise, focusing on scalability for a program might mean sacrificing some measure of depth in its outcomes, at least initially. These trade-offs are real and require thoughtful, prayerful consideration. As leaders, we must pay attention to the health of each of these areas and ask ourselves hard questions. Are we strengthening the capacity of our organization in a way that aligns with our mission? Are we building a missional community that feels valued, engaged, and inspired? Are our programs and strategies producing measurable, positive change in the world? One of the most difficult aspects of pursuing mission over vocation is that it places external accountability on our efforts. Mission is driven by love, and love requires us to focus on the needs and well-being of others, not just our own satisfaction. This means we need to seek feedback and listen to it, even when it's uncomfortable. If a program isn't delivering the impact we expected, we have to be willing to acknowledge that and make adjustments. If our organizational culture is struggling, we need to address it, even if it means revisiting our values and practices. And if our missional community feels disconnected or undervalued, we need to find ways to reconnect and build trust. In outcome-based ministry, one of the key concepts we work with is the idea of a theory of change. Your theory of change is the underlying framework that explains how and why your ministry's activities will lead to the desired impact. It's essentially the logic model for your mission. If you do X, then Y will happen, leading to Z. Developing a strong theory of change involves understanding the needs of your community, identifying your assets, and clearly defining the specific outcomes you aim to achieve. Once you have a theory of change, the next step is to test it, evaluate it, and refine it. Ministry is not a static process. It requires continuous learning, adaptation, and growth. This is why we emphasize feedback loops and formative assessment. By continually evaluating your programs, you can make adjustments that increase their effectiveness and relevance. A crucial part of this process is documentation, tracking your progress and recording the results. This allows you to see what's working, what isn't, and why. Documentation also creates a foundation for learning that you can build on over time. When you know where you've been, it's easier to understand where you're going and to make informed decisions about the future. This approach can be challenging because it requires us to be honest about the effectiveness of our efforts. It's much easier to stay busy with programs, activities, and meetings than to dig deeply into whether they're producing meaningful impact. But real mission work calls us to a higher standard. We're not here to simply fill our time with good activities. We're here to make a difference in the world, and that requires accountability. Ultimately, the goal of mission is achievable impact, missionally aligned, positive, measurable change. And this is not just an abstract goal, it's a tangible calling. God calls us to bear fruit, to make disciples, and to be His hands and feet in the world. This means we must take our mission seriously, not just as something we're passionate about, but as something we're responsible for. At the end of the day, our work will be evaluated, not just by donors, partners, or boards, but by God Himself. We'll stand before Him and give an account of how we use the gifts, resources, and opportunities He entrusted to us. Were we faithful stewards of His mission, or did we settle for simply living out our vocation? Did we seek measurable change, or were we content with good intentions? The road to impact is not easy. It requires intentionality, accountability, and a willingness to grow. But as leaders called to mission, this is the work we're invited into. It's a lifetime's pursuit, a journey of learning, adapting, and striving to better serve God's purpose in the world. And as we take each step, we trust that He is with us, guiding us, and equipping us for the work He's called us to do. So as we pursue this path of intentional, outcome-based ministry, we must recognize that we're not in it alone. We're part of a larger community, each of us serving within our unique contexts and bringing our distinct gifts. This diversity within the body of Christ is both a strength and a responsibility. Each ministry, each leader, and each team has something valuable to contribute, but only if we're all operating with integrity, purpose, and humility. The framework of outcome-based ministry is demanding because it requires a mindset shift. It asks us to move beyond personal success or satisfaction and to measure our ministry's impact by its actual effects in the world. It calls us to be diligent in pursuing measurable change and to ensure that our work aligns with God's mission, not just our preferences or passions. This pursuit may involve sacrifice, and it may take us outside of our comfort zones, but it's a journey worth taking. Over the years, I've come to see that pursuing impact requires a delicate balance between faith and responsibility. On one hand, we're called to trust God and to recognize that without Him, we can do nothing. Our ultimate success is in His hands, and every victory comes by His grace. On the other hand, we're also called to steward the resources He gives us, our time, talents, and opportunities, with seriousness and commitment. Faithful stewardship means making plans, setting goals, evaluating outcomes, and adjusting our course as needed. This journey is a partnership between divine guidance and human responsibility. It's about discerning God's will while doing our part to the best of our abilities. Sometimes, this will mean stepping back to recalibrate, to reimagine, or to rethink our strategies. Other times, it will mean pressing forward, even when the road ahead is uncertain. But through it all, we trust that God is at work in and through us, shaping our efforts for His glory. One of the most challenging aspects of this work is recognizing that, as leaders, we carry a weight that not everyone will fully understand. The people we lead may not see all the behind-the-scenes decisions, the prayers, or the sacrifices that go into pursuing true impact. They may focus more on the visible parts of the ministry, the programs, the events, the activities, and not realize the complexity involved in designing a ministry that actually changes lives. But that's part of the calling of leadership, to carry the unseen weight with faithfulness and to continually seek God's guidance as we navigate the challenges. Ultimately, our hope is that through outcome-based ministry, we'll be able to look back and see evidence of transformation, not just in numbers or statistics, but in lives changed, communities strengthened, and God's kingdom advanced. We're aiming for more than short-term gains or surface-level engagement. We're working toward a mission that's rooted in God's heart, one that brings true healing, hope, and renewal to the world. As we continue this journey together, I encourage you to be open to growth, to learning, and to change. Don't be afraid to question assumptions, to try new approaches, or to make adjustments along the way. Ministry is a living, evolving process, and God often leads us in unexpected ways. Be willing to embrace that journey, trusting that He will guide you and provide the wisdom you need. So let's commit ourselves to this work with humility, integrity, and determination. Let's pursue a ministry that's grounded in mission, focused on measurable impact, and centered on God's purpose for us. And as we do, may we find joy in knowing that we're part of something greater than ourselves, a mission that's about more than personal fulfillment or individual calling. It's about bearing witness to the transforming power of God's love, working to bring His kingdom closer to earth as it is in heaven. And one day, when we stand before Him and give an account of our lives, may we hear those words we long for. Well done, good and faithful servant. Because ultimately, that's what all of this is about. Faithfulness to the one who called us, a life lived with purpose, and a mission fulfilled.